All right, I want to get through a few other pieces because you're our resident fitness expert. You've got the stunts, you've got the look, everything. Just basic your fitness philosophy. I mean, we talked earlier that you have much respect for guys like Ido and what they're doing, and Elliot what they're doing, and what Dorian did in the past, and all these pieces. But like, if you have to sum your philosophy down into a few things, how do you explain who you are? Because the space is so wide. And like I told you earlier, it took me like a few interviews to understand what Ido was about, and I had to go to his moving experience, and then I got it. Because it's a big space, and a lot of people try to tell you it's this and it's not this. Like you said, you try to break ideas about stamina versus strength. So how do you describe your philosophy?
Yeah, I suppose what I try to do is just become a melting pot of all of these ideas. So genuinely, the guests that you have on, I'm a huge fan. So if you were to just, I don't know, trying to almost create this hybrid athlete. So imagine, I don't know, let's take MMA because we both share MMA as an example. Say you had an MMA fighter and he was going in for a bout, he needed to cut weight. Well, okay, then Dave Asprey, MCT's coconut oil, his knowledge is going to be valuable. But all of a sudden, he needs to move better. An MMA athlete needs to understand movement. Okay, Dan Hardy obviously would be an amazing choice, but also Ido. Okay, but hang on, maybe he needs to go up a weight category. Conor McGregor recently needs to put on quality functional mass. Sometimes bodybuilding and hypertrophy is almost like a dirty word, but why? Sooner or later, strength is a neurological adaptation, but in terms of actually becoming stronger, there'll be a time when you have to actually increase the size of your muscle. There's that strength deficit. So for instance, I'm not sure where, but if you have what's training strength, competitive strength, and absolute strength. So absolute strength, for instance, if we took your, as you're sitting now, if we took your quadriceps and we electrically stimulated them, completely involuntary, we'd be able to test how strong your quadriceps are. Not you trying to get, psyched up on smelling salts, but no, let's electrocute you and actually see how strong your quadriceps are. After that, after you've recovered, now let's get your competitive strength. So all of a sudden, you're getting psyched up, you've got smelling salts, the crowd's going crazy, all your friends are like, Brian, you got this, you got this. Now let's test your competitive strength. And we do that. Now monitoring the difference between those two, if it's a large difference between when you're electrocuted and it's involuntary and what you can actually get stimulated and psyched up for, if it's a large deficit, well then that means there's more neurological strength, so that you're not using your full capacity there of your quads. But if it's quite a small deficit, well hang on, then we're gonna have to do something here. We're gonna have to increase the size of your muscle, the size of the engine, because you're using it to its full capacity. So, huge fan of Ido. Neurologically, his strength is amazing, but at a certain point, you might actually have to increase the size of the muscle, where the teachings of Dorian Yates, there's no one better. That's why a lot of Olympic lifters, Chinese Olympic lifters, for instance, some of the best in the world, they'll do bodybuilding exercises to supplement their Olympic lifting. Yes, it's not like Bulgarian Olympic lifting where they used to preach the law of specificity. So if you were seen doing a bicep curl, you would be kicked out of the gym. It was so specific. But no, there's actually a merit to doing these supplementary hypertrophy bodybuilding exercises. So it's like thinking outside the box. So going back to this MMA fighter, now he's moved up a weight category. So Dorian's helping with his hypertrophy. All of a sudden, he might be fighting some guy with a crazy VO2, Nate Diaz, triathlete, Frankie Edgar, amazing tank, can go 5 rounds. So, okay, we're fighting Frankie Edgar and Nate Diaz. So now we need to increase your VO2. The Iron Cowboy, let's get him involved. Someone like that with insane work capacity. Or Wim Hof, because we need to basically increase your work capacity. And after a certain amount of time, you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, well, I need a rest day. All the other time, the guy's training harder than you. Okay, so let's get Wim Hof on board. All of a sudden, you find you don't need rest days. Now, that's a pretty potent formula there. That athlete who I've just described, hypertrophy from Dorian Yates, movement from Ido Portal, Elliot Hull, strength training over here, Wim Hof, he never gets ill and he can just train forever. The Iron Cowboy, that's a pretty cool athlete, and that's the sort of athlete who I would strive to be.
To watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonreelacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media login and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Reel, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonreelacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.